One of the things that I will ask from a leader all the way down just directly to an employee, and this one is kind of hits you in the gut sometimes, are you or is your team doing the most productive thing right now that helps their job?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right? And that's just it's not like, hey, dude, what the heck are you doing? You're goofing off. But sometimes it'll be a question like, hey, man, I completely understand. Hey, real quick question. Are you doing the most productive thing right now that you could be doing to help you reach your goal?
Hey everyone, welcome to Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers, where we aim to share real stories about running a successful family business while working through adversity and pouring back into our community that keeps our doors open every single day. We're your hosts, Shelby, Matt, and Taylor, and we'll be bringing you real, relevant local business advice, maybe some automotive insights that are sure to change the way you look at running a business or buying a car, and maybe even throw in a plug for you to do business with us here locally.
Welcome back to Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers. Hey, episode 44 this morning, and we're excited about this one.
Yep.
Not only we got all the brothers back in the studio, but it's a perfect time to reflect and kind of take a journey back on all 43 episodes. We're not going to go over all of them,
Yep.
okay? But we've handpicked a few of them that were most impactful that we heard from you, the listener, of, man, I really liked that tip. I really liked that episode. It helped us in our business, and then maybe some stuff we've learned through on the way, even taking some deeper dives in some area so that we can pour back in and help you be more successful about running your business.
Absolutely. Hey, and if you missed out on last week, episode 43, we talked about the ethical compass, navigating moral dilemmas in leadership, and the things that we've gone through and how, we weren't just born into it, but it was like, if you say you're going to do it, you do it, no matter what the result is. And no amount of money will ever say it's okay to do this. And so we spent a whole episode on that and kind of broke that down. So make sure you check that out at Crossroad Conversations. Hey, and if you haven't, check out our inventory at lewissuperstore.com. You can find that on the website. You'll see 1,000+ vehicles, over 35 million vehicles available. And if you need your car oil changed,
You bet.
hey, just a quick reminder, no appointment needed.
That's right.
And also pricing. A lot of times people have this preface that you can go to the 5-minute oil change or the Jiffy Lube or any of those because they think it's less money. Well, Mythbusters here, we shop that about every 90 days to make sure we're on the money, if not a little bit less. And we send out coupons to save up to $50 off that. So generally we're less, higher certified technicians, no appointment needed. And generally, it's a 45 minutes in and out and done. So stop by and see us with that.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it's been big. Hey, getting back in, this time of year, it's fun to be able, some talk about a convertible, but I need a little bit bigger vehicle. So I'm talking about the Bronco, the Bronco Heritage, but even more so, this is real OG. It comes in a 2-door. People have been asking me, what is that crazy colored Bronco that just came in? Crazy colored Bronco. Well, it is the retro back tribute to the Bronco Stroke Edition. So it is orange, white, blue with a matte black roof. It is wild looking. Looks like you go straight to the Baja in it. It's 2-door, 2.7, front and rear locking axles. Has every single option on it, but it pays back homage to the OG.
It really does. It goes back to the 70s when they were racing off-road vehicles straight to the Baja 500 and 1000.
From the factory.
From the factory. And Bill was a factory racer for Ford. So 71 to 75, they had these limited production 2-door Broncos. They were the only Bronco that came with the uncut fender flares, the red, white, blue scheme, double shocks, high horsepower motors. Back then, they only produced 650 of these Baja
I was going to ask
Broncos.
you, I knew it was not many, 650. I mean,
Only
they upgraded the
650.
steering gearbox,
Yep.
the shocks. They kind of went through and did the whole thing.
And then they raced the entire Baja. So I love, and you guys have heard me talking passionate about that, that edition coming out because it does pay heritage. It is correct to that 71 to 75 edition they had.
So people have been so excited. It's fun to be able to talk about, hey, going back to that heritage. So we have one available on the ground that you can own and take home today. Come check it out.
You bet. Now, as we dive in this morning, again, we're reflecting back on some of our earlier episodes. Really, to recap it, we're not going to go all the way in depth to each one of them, but we'll reference these episodes too. So if you like what you heard about it, you can go back and reference those. And remember, those are on our website or wherever you get your podcast, on Spotify or Apple or wherever else. Hey, first, I'm going to bring up this one, and I'm going almost way back, almost to the starting, and who knows how we sounded back then, okay? We probably should re-listen. All the way back to episode 3.
Okay.
And the reason I picked episode 3 here is because if you'll remember, or I'll help you remember here, the title of it was Creating Powerful Teams in Business. And I think that's one of those themes that we've sprinkled in throughout all the episodes is you're only as good as your team, and you have to empower and you have to embrace the teams in your business because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And I don't care how hard you work or this or that, you'll hit a ceiling and there won't be any more that you can do without having a team on your side. So during that episode when we talked about powerful teams, we talked about getting that team together and leading that team with vision, and then what the game plan was to help accomplish that vision. So if y'all would take it from there and kind of talk about, as we did talk about the teams, the value of teams and what we've seen success out of empowering and getting the right team together.
I think it was important as we've learned, as we've taught, one, sharing, like you said, the vision. They have to understand what the game plan is. Like, you're not giving them a task, you're giving them responsibility. So it was not say, hey, do this, this, and this, and say, hey, here's the vision. I envision this to be able to do this and this. What's your thoughts here? And so they're like, oh, yeah, I kind of like that. It's like, hey, is that something you can help me pilot to help make sure this gets done? I get a little buy-in, which is crucial to make sure that we empower that and make sure that it carries itself out, then inspect it. But then it's a cool thing that you can give them that. Remember, we talked about the multiplier factor. If you take it from you and give it to someone else, if they can at least produce somewhere around 60 to 70% of your production,
Yes.
and you can do that multiple times, it's okay because you now got to go work on the next thing.
I think that's a key point, and if you're just listening or maybe you're driving through traffic or pouring your coffee, re-listen to this point because it took me years to finally settle in and be okay with this. And I'm going to tell you, before then, frustration was through the roof. And you heard, and I do not like this quote, but I'm going to say it. I don't like it now that I understand how demoralizing or how bad it is for business. But when you hear people say, if it is to be, it's up to me. If you want it done right, you'll do it yourself.
I've said it 1,000 times.
I have too. That takes empowering away from others. And what happens is your multiplication, think about this as an equation, okay? Yep. And you're just putting a 1 in there.
Yep.
And 1 times 1 is whatever the number is.
And I guess that quote is okay in proper reference. If it is to be, it's up to me. And what is up to you in your state is you casting the vision of what the team should do. You're taking away the working in the business and working on the business because you can still make that work, right? You're doing other things.
Yep.
That's a good point of reframing that, of like not saying if that task that didn't do up to your area of expectations doesn't happen, you don't just say, well, I got to take it over myself. No, it's up to you to then develop those people.
Yep.
We talked about that 70%. I'll do quick math for you again just so you understand. Listen, all you can give is 100%.
Yeah.
All right? If you have 5 people on your team giving 70%, that's 350%.
Go for it.
That's a 3.5 times multiplication of what you could have done.
Yep. Cast vision and manage that just so you can all be on the same page.
Yeah, and we've seen a whole lot whenever you take someone that you really think, hey, I'm going to keep feeding them, I'm going to keep feeding them, I'm going to keep feeding them, and they're going to step up, they're going to rise up to the occasion. They don't. If you don't step to the side and be able to give them all the opportunities and tools to be able to move up. And then you see a lot of those people that you think, hey, there's nowhere else for them to go. They rise to the occasion whenever you step to the side.
They do. I do want to throw this now into you guys' court so we can revisit this subject. It's one thing to hire the people for the team. It's one thing to identify, who your playmakers are, who your catalysts are, who your vision people are. But in order to get that then machine to work on a daily basis and keep reproducing the results you're looking for, there's a key ingredient there. You got to have the people, but then you got to have the processes.
Yep. Processes are super important. KPIs, inspecting what you expect is very important. Because one thing, if you can just throw some numbers of what you're trying to measure, if you can just make that visible, then they're like, whoops, they're still paying attention. Oops, I better get back on that. They're still, oh, that number's trending down. Oh, that number's trending up, right? So just clear communication and then monitoring those.
I'll give you an example that's happened recently to us, and we know this because we look at reports all the time, but sometimes we forget the power of just awareness and discussing. Is about a month ago, we started discussing with our team more the breakdown of activities at a manager level wise than to push down. And what we were looking at things like phone calls, emails, text messages, appointments set, so on and so forth. When we first started and we were looking at these reports on a more day-to-day basis, we saw that text messages were the lowest of the activities. It was phone calls, it was emails, and then text messages were the least amount. Well, as we got to discussing it, we said, hey, everybody in the room, how do you communicate? Do you answer the phone? Do you answer an email? Or do you text? The majority of the time, they're answering the text.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's how people are communicating today, then why aren't we pushing for text messages to be our highest?
Yeah, what are we doing?
It's not yet, but I'll tell you, within 30 days, text messages leapfrogged emails and almost doubled it. And we're going to keep going until that exceeds, passes phone calls. But that was just from awareness of leading the team in processes.
Yeah, that's been huge there.
It really has. So again, on the creating the powerful teams in business, for more on that, go back to episode 3 and listen to the entire episode. Next up, I picked out episode 4. This one's dear to all of us in here because it talks about culture. Culture, culture, culture. And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and a guy was talking about his culture, and he said, you know what? From the outside, we would hear people talk about it's a cult. And hey, what cult's going on there? What's the cult at in Lewis? Are you part of that cult? And he said, at first I took offense to it. Like, no worry, we don't have a cult here. He said, but then when I started unpacking it, cult is in the word culture. It's just a reflection of what culture you have.
Yep.
So I was like, heck yeah, we got a cult. It is a really strong culture that others want to be a part of.
Oh yeah.
And that's fun. Now, that takes a while to develop a culture, and you're developing a culture that's positive, that's uplifting, that allows others to thrive, and that when they're on their way to work, they enjoy and they look forward to what they're going to do. And that's something that doesn't cost you a penny. It's just what you say, how you say it, and how you address situations.
If you define cult like 4 or 5 layers deep, first one, system of religious directed toward a particular figure or an object, a relative small group of people having religious beliefs. You can go all the way down. It says a misplaced thing is what they talk about. A cult of personalities surrounding the leader and the team.
Okay.
So,
So,
what we laughed about when people said that, 'cause I don't care what you say, just like my feelings are back with the discarded tires and the dumpster, just because it doesn't allow you to make proper decisions.
Sure.
If your feelings are on your sleeve, it's not because I don't care. But as people said that, it's like, dissecting that, and it's like, hey, why are people saying that? And it's like, you know what? They're hating on it because they're not part of it, and they see and we saw that like our car show.
Yeah.
We welcome all, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like all the store owners and managers and salespeople throughout this entire process of building this new building, we've invited, because we've been in the right room with the right people, right? You never know where it's going to go in relationships, and said, yeah, come on. We've given tours to people just across the spectrum. They're like, that's your direct competition. Why would you do that? We invited a DA here with all the dealers to come to a meeting here. They kept saying, why are you doing that? I said, because I want people to see our culture throughout the business. And every time they leave here, by the time they make it to the 3rd story, it's generally right off the balcony. When they walk in, they will always say this jokingly, are you guys hiring? Every time. Without cue of saying we are hiring, right? We've got 17 positions available right now for hire. They will say that. Are you hiring? Because they can see the culture that's going on, and it's everybody. It's not the 3 amigos here. Now, do we check up on it and make sure that people knows everybody's names and everybody's doing good and having fun? Yeah, but it's the experience that everyone gets to have every day.
That's true.
Yeah, it's so much of, as we've continued to expand and we hear it more and more from the employees that have been with us for a little bit longer, it's continuing to manage, be in the middle of that, and it's just fine-tuning, always critiquing, because even the level that we're at with how our culture is built, there's still times where we're like, hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that.
Yep.
Because you have to go back around, and I always love and expect what you expect of going back around and looking at that, and it never changes and it never will. As long as we want that culture to continue and be around, you have to continue to go around and check it out. Now, it's easier and people know that's the culture and they continue to grow into that. But for all of y'all that are listening, like, oh, y'all don't ever have problems or anything else that never pops up, we have our huge fair share of them. I will
At least.
share with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so fun, as Matt talked about, coming to work and doing that. You are part of this culture and you get to bring other people into it and then grow onto them.
Yeah, and I think I'll say a couple things on culture here. Is we've always been really proud of our culture. I'm going to tell you, it always hasn't been perfect. And I can tell you even gaps between like when Dad was GM and running the business, and then he had another GM step in, kind of like while we were still going through college and working our way through the process. I can remember getting back involved, and one department was great, other department didn't. These two got along, these two didn't get along. And I don't mean just like a tiff every once in a while. Like, they didn't communicate.
Like, didn't want to be in the same room.
Didn't want to be. And, that takes time to break those walls down. And we identified, luckily earlier on, because this could have grown legs and just been out of control. When we were across town just about 18 months ago, we had about 150, 160 employees. Almost immediately when we moved, we had 100 more employees at one location. See, if you hire one or two people, the rest of the culture, brings them up, trains them, and they're just ingrained into it.
Yep.
You inject 100 people into a culture, that can change it overnight.
Yep.
So we knew that, and the three of us talked about it like, hey, we got to make sure our thumbs are back on that, because we've got an entire new wave that they've heard about us, but we got to teach them how we treat people, how we treat each other, what we do, our morals, so on and so forth, the entire culture, how we talk, all of it.
Yes.
That's pretty important that you say that, going back to episode 3 of creating powerful teams in business. Because there's a lot of things we've delegated. There are some very specific things that we have not fully delegated yet, and it's in some of our meetings. Now, we've given throughout the meeting some delegation, but then the culture, and then the cake day culture, and then the things that we do that's really important that people hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Here's how it goes. Here's what it looks like. This is why it's fun, no matter what, right?
Oh, yeah.
Those are not things that are fully thrown out and delegated for letting someone else then develop the culture.
And it shouldn't be. It's it's one of those situations where they need to see you.
Yeah.
As whether you're the manager or the owner or the GM, they need to see you. They need to hear from you. And for example, like our Friday morning meetings, we're still up there talking. However, we give different segments to those managers to embrace them.
Yeah.
Our Saturday morning sales meeting, we're talking, but we're also embracing and empowering others. So they have to see that. We're not a silent business partner here. Okay, we're running the business, and you're in the middle of it, and you have to be. You have to be able to protect that culture. That's a big one. It doesn't cost you anything.
No.
You just got to be nice, and you got to stay consistent on it.
And the thing is, you can't buy it, right? So you say it doesn't cost you anything, but if you don't have it, you can't just go out and buy it.
It'll cost you.
It will cost you, but you cannot buy it.
That's right.
And it's a tricky thing.
That really is. So if you need more on that one, go back to episode 4 on culture. Hey, now episode 6. I'm going to go forward just a little bit here. Managing difficult employees.
Never have to do that.
We heard that from multiple different business owners and a lot of times when you're in the thick of it and you're in the middle of the forest, you think you're by yourself, and you think nobody else has to deal with this. Nobody else has employees like this, or so on and so forth. This is such a consistent topic amongst all trades, all fields, all businesses is managing difficult employees. And this is a tricky line because usually we're talking about top performers.
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking about the low performers. We've gotten rid of them and we moved on. We're talking about top performers that maybe hold sales records, or they turn the most hours, or they're the best at CSI, or whatever it may be, but they're difficult.
Yeah.
And you've got to walk that line and going, are they difficult just to manage, or are they being a sour apple that's bringing everybody else down? And sometimes those difficult employees, even if they're high performers, you got to cut them loose.
Yeah.
And the rest of the tide will raise up. Other times, it's just, hey, that's a high-performing employee, that's just a little high-strung, no different than the thoroughbred at the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not the one that wins is not the nicest horse in the stables. You know what I mean? So you got to walk that line on how do I manage difficult employees.
You definitely have to keep that in check. If you use it like a sports analogy, like the team manager, the GM, the coach, the position manager, they're all deal with them at a different level, and they get a different version of that athlete. But think the coach is not coaching the center the same way he's coaching the high-strung running back who averages 12 yards per carry, the same way that he's managing the kicker, the same way he's managing the high-strung defensive tackle who's like jumps off sides every once in a while, but dang, he makes a lot of sacks, right? And so then the tricky thing, I remember cutting episode 4 up, and we've had employees that have had a hard time. You guys will remember this. It's like, well, no, if we say that we have to do it like this, we have to do it like this for everyone. And it's like, that depends, right? Like, who are you dealing with? And they're like, well, why should it be different? We're like, well, just because it is. And they were like, well, no, like, I need more definition. And so it was like, well, because this, like the input versus the output, here's what this person does, and you're not letting them get away with something, like get away with murder, but, you're going to say this, this, and this. And Taylor, we were talking just this week, one of the high performers, like, man, we have such a hard time wrangling this person, and where are they at, and what's going on? And as long as production stays up, now, if they used to run for 12 yards a carry, but that was in '02, then we got to recheck them. It's like, hey, you're still riding on the coattail. Got to get your numbers back up, and then we can get back to the flexibility things here. And that's the tricky thing. Like, it's a constant movement of.
That's tricky if you're not managing it. And a lot of times, whenever you have somebody that, don't call it a set it and forget it, but they're rolling. They're on cruise control, and you're just, hey, let me top the gas off. Your tires need to be checked. Let me keep you going. And as a manager, whenever you have a lot of hard knocks, hiccups, you're just patting that guy on the back. Like, until the wheels start to come off, you don't spend as much time as you need to there. So where the hard part comes, you're not consistently managing them. So whenever they do go completely a back direction, they're not working as much. Their numbers aren't as high because they're not working as much. And you're like, hey, you've got to be here working. You haven't managed them through the process, so then they just explode.
Yeah.
And then you have a whole situation you have to go back through. So make sure, obviously, of managing those different employees, even if you don't have to give them as much attention, you're still slowing down to make sure you're touching base and you're checking the temp on it and not just saying, oh, he looks good, he's going, because it'll end up biting you.
It's a telltale for me when I'm looking at managers and I see what differentiates an average manager to a high performer are those that can adapt. And those that don't try to just manage and get the most out of everybody the same way. No different than you're talking about the different positions in football, or you're talking about when do I push, when do I not. Is if I want to see the high performers, I want to see them to be able to adapt. Zen Business says it this way. They talk about their adapting leadership style. Effective managers are able to adjust their leadership approach to cater to the needs of different personalities. And when you think about our business, we have a melting pot of different personalities. And why is that? Because we sell to different personalities.
Yeah.
So when we're trying to match people up in transactions, and no different than, I can promise you, the personalities of a service advisor versus a service technician, two totally different personalities.
Yep.
But the manager has to be able to manage both of them and meet them where they are and how they'll respond to get the most out of them.
Yeah, that's one of the many reasons or definitions of wearing many hats.
Mhm.
You know, you gotta just like, hey, back of house, front of house, hey, this person, hey, that person. You have to swap hats, like change your personalities. Like, hey, how do we address this? This one needs some more push and some straightforward in your face, because that's the only way they respond. And this person needs to be very soft and subtle. So, and you can't do that if you don't really know your people, right? You got to know your people. Your team's got to know your people. But manage difficult employees. Don't let them run over you, right?
Sure.
Like, you're in charge, right?
Yep.
And the rules are the rules are the rules. But then, you know, have a little bit of
Yeah.
bending,
Elasticity.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there of obviously don't have your emotions in there, but it's so important. Just rules are the rules. You have to stick in there and go through that and be able to manage them correctly, holding them accountable.
That's
So,
good.
Very much
that's
so.
been really big
So if you
there.
need more on that was episode 6 on managing difficult employees. I encourage you to go back, listen to that entire episode, so hopefully it'll help you run your business.
Oh, yeah. So diving into the fun fact quiz of the week, which of these events took place in the month of July throughout history? Carl Benz unveils his invention to the world.
All right.
First printed car advertisement appears.
Mm-hmm.
First Ford car, Model A, was sold. First car exceeds 100 miles an hour.
Which one of those took place in the month of July throughout history?
The answer will come here soon. At 100 miles an hour, probably an older car. That sucker was probably rambling down
I know
the
which one
road.
I'm voting for. I don't know if it's right or not, but I'm going to go in with
got it.
confidence.
Okay. And I am very hesitant to bring this one back
Why?
up because you will spend multiple episodes on this.
Can I
but
stand up?
No.
No. But this is so
I need to talk to him,
important.
man.
I just got back from another meeting. I'm talking about keeping the inventory moving of episode 7, inventory control. I just got back from another meeting, and so many people will die up on a mountain instead of just swallowing their pride and say, hey, this wasn't a good investment. Hey, I didn't stock the right thing. Hey, I need to move this. Instead of liquidating, moving on, and getting your asset invested into something else.
They got their feelings involved.
Because they got their feelings involved. I had people that had vehicles that were over 600 days
Listen,
old.
Melissa, let somebody else manage your inventory.
600 days old, and they're like, oh, I've got it marketed. No, at that point, you need to cut ties and move on. So deep we can dive into this episode, but
Just kinda-
keep it surface level, right? Just surface level. We have to pull him back because he loves this. And
Episode 7, there's at least an hour
Yeah,
of really
look,
granular
just
breaking this
of
down.
inventory turn. Hey, but keeping the inventory moving, why was it so important?
Y'all are welcome. I'm that passionate about it.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay,
poured
hey,
over
let
to
me
us.
wrap it all the way up for you. Okay, you ready? And then I'll give the details. Let me wrap it up first. It's this simple. Are you operating a business or is this your hobby?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you how. Show me how long you've had stuff in inventory.
Yep.
Because if it is more than the national average, and even within our departments, we have different KPIs for every single department. But if it's more than the national average, you have a hobby. It means your emotions are involved. You made emotional decisions when you bought that part. You bought that house. You bought that car. You bought whatever it was, the lumber. Make business decisions. Do hobbies on your own time, but run the business as a business. And let me just, I'm going to say this, and don't give me the one-offs out there. When you buy an asset, 99 times out of 100, it is a depreciating asset. That means tomorrow it'll be worth less than it is today. That means it is to your benefit, even at a lower gross profit percentage, that you turn that inventory. You must think of inventory as cash. The only reason you invested that cash into an asset instead of into the market is so it would earn you a greater return. The only way it can earn you a greater return is if you move it. If it sits on the shelf something newer and better is coming out, and then you're going to have to discount it more, and you should have just left your money in the market.
Yeah,
How'd I do?
it was pretty good. It was really good.
Yeah, that was solid.
So when we dissect that and talk about it, that was your like political speech about it.
I know.
Which was good. Your
I would
elevator
teed you
speech.
up pretty hard on it. But
Yeah, it threw some ice on you. See, you just have to know your inventory and all the in episode 7 we break that down, but all the effects that it does. And in your industry, there will be somewhere that someone has come up with a guide
Yep.
of what your turn should be. But just think about that without getting hung up at this one time, like Matt said. But there's the turn to it because your employees are walking past the same item.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the same thing sitting on the shelf, the dust is on it. Your customers walk past it a couple times. They start thinking something's wrong with it.
Yep.
You know, you've got the point of that it's eating cash and capital and that something newer and greater is coming out. But the emotional feelings of someone having to sell that, they are going to non-verbally in their mind say, that's not the one for that person.
Yeah.
That's not the hat for that person. That's not the hot tub for that person. That's not the lawnmower for that person because it's been sitting. When there's no reason, we just didn't have a battery in it to start it.
Sure.
Or it's been stacked behind a couple things. Or we didn't reface our inventory every morning
Yep.
to rotate it around. And so it's all kind of in your marketing. And marketing is such a broad description, but in your marketing and how you display that and the spin that you put on it. One of the things we talk about is when you go to a restaurant, the manager special
Yeah.
is what they need to get rid of.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Is what they need to get rid of. And it might be that they're really dialed in on lobster.
Yeah.
But they made a big buy on lobster because it was at a really good deal and it was it's like Sam's Club. What's the brisket that was Snake Farm?
Oh, Snake Farm, Snake Rivers.
Snake River,
yes.
Wagyu brisket. I was like, oh, that sounds expensive. Yeah, Matt's on his way down. Not at all. Taylor, our meat connoisseur, definitely. But so here's the deal. Sam's Club is selling that because they got to buy from Snake River,
Yeah.
right? Now, they're good marketers. They understand it, so they say, hey, make sure the label shows this, this, and this.
Guaranteed.
Snake River, Wagyu,
Yep.
just at market price or below market price. And so that's because they have a surplus, and they have a surplus for 1,000 different reasons.
Yep.
But the manager special or what's on sale or what's on the end cap is because they're trying to turn their inventory. Don't get hung up on like, hey, well, this Wagyu yields $48 a pound.
Yep.
Not if someone doesn't pay for it. Guess what? It'll expire. It'll yield you $0 per pound.
So, and I don't have my whiteboard in here, but I'll try to paint the picture rapidly for you, okay? And I do this when I get to talk at the U of A to entrepreneur students, is I say, give me a lesser dollar car. Maybe it's not as sexy, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not an F-250 with 37s on it, King Ranch, all painted up. It was
Yeah.
$70,000.
We're talking 07 Taurus.
I'm talking 07 Taurus that's 10 grand. Okay. If I can take that $10,000 and make $1,000 on it, okay? Make $1,000. But I can turn it 12 times in a year.
So it sells every 30 days.
Every 30 days. That $1,000 times 12 is 12,000.
Yep.
Okay.
You hold on to that.
Okay.
Okay. So then I've got Taylor's F-250 with 37s on it. That's $90,000. Okay. It tied up 9 times the amount of cash.
Yep.
And he's gonna turn it. But boss, it'll make $2,000.
Yeah.
He's gonna turn it 3 times a year. That's $6,000 that my $90,000 investment made.
Yep.
Okay, versus Shelby's over here, the 07 Taurus, that Taylor's laughing at because he's got an 07 Taurus, but he only invested 10 grand and made 12 grand. Made 12 grand here on 10 grand, okay? Made 6 grand over here on 90 grand. One, emotions are involved. The other one is strictly business.
That's where people get so hung up and they're like, that's where their hobby tries to become a business. And like, no, I want my lot. I want my store. I want my business to look like this. And that's okay.
Sure.
I can put some hubcaps on a Taurus and find a buck for that seat,
Yep.
right? And then I'll have something that's maybe 15 grand or 18 grand or average right now cost of a used car is 27,000. Just
Yep.
looked at it this morning. And we have some stuff that's 90 grand.
Yep.
You know, and we got a lot of stuff that's 5 grand. But just to know that if you can take $1 and make $10, it's a whole lot better than taking $10 and making $12.
Yeah.
So much better.
Right? Because you also get to, in that factor, in that 90,000 and going over a year, you can do that 9 times each time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and without getting you in the multiplication and the division.
I'm trying to keep it simple.
Compounding.
Yeah. Sell what sells, right?
And know this, that it's worth the most, if I can pound anything else in your head besides the first thing of, is this a business or is this a hobby? Number 2, you have to realize that it's worth the most day one.
Day one.
When you look at our pricing, the older it gets, the lower our margin, and we continue to move it down. Because there's only 2 reasons any product, not just car business, and you guys know this because it's been pounded in our head. There's only 2 reasons that a car will not sell. Y'all know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
It's not priced right. It's not ready to sell. So think about that. Any product you have out there, there's 2 reasons. And before you slash the price, make sure it's ready to sell.
Order of importance.
Can they find it on the inventory shelf?
Yeah.
Is it gone? Is it missing? Is it front and center? And that's why we moved a lot around. We look, what do the pictures look like online? Is it marketable? Is it ready to sell? And then is it priced right? If those 2 things are yes, it'll move.
Yep.
It'll move.
Yes.
You know, I love going back and talking about that, and always reminded of this, but you can always go back to the simple facts, because a used manager will come and say, hey, I've done everything, I've went through, and they should know better. They should know better, but they get too busy. And so it's so simple sometimes just to take your employee and say, hey, let's go take a walk. And then
Have a walking meeting.
you can first sometimes go walk it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, even growing up of like into this business, I could always tell whenever I'd missed something, because it was never getting whacked over the head, but it was like, hey, did you check on this, or what's going on with this? I'm like, dadgummit, okay. So, but walking out there, you can go check 2 or 3 of the vehicles, and then whenever you see that it doesn't have the mark on it, it doesn't have the manager special, everything, because we have great policies, you have great policies, but they don't get implemented. They don't get implemented. So then you grab your manager and you walk outside and say, hey, show me this truck that's on special.
That's so important, and that's how we've been coached and taught, as from kids all the way to managers.
Sure.
That's the same way that we do it. Instead of say, hey, a-hole, I can tell why this hasn't sold.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even have matching wheels on it. The windows are down. It smells
The
like
running boards are out the back
and
of
Gertrude, right? So you inspect it and you do it nicely.
Yeah, sure, you do.
But then you take reports, and then you see what's oldest, what's moved the most from what we owned it for versus market. Like, whoa, there's an $8,000 gap. Let's go look at those. And then you walk the lot. You
Yep.
should start with walking the lot, so then when you see the list, you're like, bing, like, man, why aren't the Mach-E's selling? And so then you go out and look at them, like, well, they're over here with Fleet.
Yep.
None of them are unlocked,
Yep.
and the battery's dead on 6 of them.
Yep.
And then you look like, well, it hadn't been on our major specials. It's not on one of our display pads.
Sure.
It's out of sight, out of mind. There's 1,000 vehicles on this ground. There's 1,700 cars
Yeah.
with customer cars. Things get lost quickly.
Fast.
But it's so important that you, when you inspect that, is it ready to go? That it's really ready to go, and not taking somebody's word for it. Not that they're going to lie to you, but they probably just had an action check.
So there is that part that, we just unpacked of, is the vehicle ready to go? Where is it? Is it on display? Does everybody know about it? Y'all have heard us talk about before, get in it, in our case, get in it, drive it yourself, so then everybody's paying attention to it. But then there's the part 2 of managing. And when a sales manager has to bring us any deals, even if they're ridiculous deals, okay? And before we'll say yes to a deal, it's, hey, did you check to see if we have anything in stock that's older?
Yep.
I noticed you're bringing me this deal that's losing $2,500, but the unit's 7 days old. You're like, yeah, but the bank cut it back. They don't have the down payment. Okay, if we're going to say yes to this deal, let's make it to our benefit and move an older asset.
Yeah.
So same thing in your business, is sell that older stuff first to keep that money flowing.
So, you sell a customer something, you're selling some lawnmowers, and they say, hey, you got any hats or shirts you can throw in?
Yep.
You're going to, you're not saying, yeah, just go pick one, right? When they say, hey, do you have a chef special? It's like, absolutely, we have this item right here, right? You
bet.
get the power of choice, and then you give direction, and everyone feels like they won. I'm going to go find the John Deere hat that I can't get off my shelf. It's like, absolutely.
That's the one.
This is the one that you're going to love, right?
Yep.
And if they want something else, say, yeah, absolutely. Let me get you my cost on these items, right? But that's kind of the power of choice to be able to move that item. And they're like, well, they don't want that one. I was like, well, can they come up with a $3,500 cash down? Well, are they okay with this? What about a cosigner? Okay, well, here's what we can present to them.
Exactly.
And this is a win-win that allows
Yep.
us to reduce and make sense and helps us get this off the lot.
That's good.
Absolutely.
All right, so super solid,
Oh,
fully
yeah.
diving through the inventory. All right, so our question, automotive fun fact quiz of the week: which one of these events took place in the month of July throughout history? So from the beginning of time through today.
Yep.
Questions: Carl Benz unveils his invention to the world. First printed car advertisement appears. First car, Ford car Model A was sold, or first car exceeds 100 miles an hour.
I was going for the 100-mile-an-hour one just because I like speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Model A, I just think July month, that's probably good.
That'll seem good.
Yeah.
It's all of them.
Oh, okay.
It's all of them.
You're all winners today.
So all those things in there. All right, so next episode that we want to bring back to surface, episode 10, is the
Yep.
customer always right? We talked about difficult employees. Now flip it to the other side. Is the customer always right?
Okay.
And I love talking about this one. Episode 10, we fully break that thing down. But the short answer is no.
You know.
Now, you have to be able to properly say no to the consumer. No, we're not going to pay for that. No, we're not responsible for that. No, that's not what you asked for. But the way that I just said all those things is not the proper way. No should generally not be in that response anywhere, right? And getting people to understand that, you know, when a phone call makes it to us or a review makes it through us, then you check the facts. We talked about that a couple weeks before you just fully react to it. And so then you're going to look at that and say, okay, did this customer buy from us? When did they buy from us? Have they serviced with us previously?
Yep.
And what's going on? What's the facts here? Okay, what have we done? How have we communicated? And then where was the short circuit?
You bet.
Right? And then what went on from there? So then we'll kind of ask the customer this, and this, and this. And then like there was, for instance, we had a customer a while back that we had done a repair on a car that was 12 years old and had like 160,000 miles on it. You know, manufacturer stopped supporting that car after 3 years and 36,000 miles. It was a good get-around car. We put a timing chain set in it to get the car back going. When we put it back together, then we road test it in the shop to make sure that everything performs as it should. A few months later, 4 or 5 months later, it then has an engine failure. We say, okay, why did the engine fail? And so then they start taking the motor apart. I had a crack in the cylinder head. And so then we look and, you know, and the customer was like, hey, you guys worked on this. It's like when a customer comes in for an oil change, like my taillight's broken. It's like, hang on, let's check the facts. And so is there any way that we would have seen that had a cracked cylinder head? It's like, did we take the cylinder head off? No, we didn't have to. Did we take the intake off? No, we didn't have to. Did we take the header off? No, we didn't have to. Okay, we wouldn't have seen the cylinder head anywhere around. Okay, did we test drive it? I know we say we test drive it, but did we test drive it? Yep, we test drove it. Here's the mileage in, here's the mileage out. How long ago was it? And then it's like, everything passes, right? Now, remember, it's 12 years old and 160,000 miles. Like, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Sooner or later, it's going to happen. Manufacturer stops supporting it. So then, without saying, ma'am, you're on your own, like, we did what you paid us to do, and we inspected it, of saying, hey, here's some options we came up with, right? Here's a reduced cost for this. We'll give you your money back on the repairs to go against the next repair, which was above and beyond. We'll let you trade in the vehicle and give you a value like it was still running.
Yep.
You know, and then we'll eat the repair to get it back running.
Sure.
And those are all ways to say no without saying, no, you're in the wrong, your car blew up, you're on your own.
I think the important part that we need to unpack, and we did in that episode, but I'm going to re-go over here, is most of the time your team is going to say, yeah, we did all that, okay? But what happens in the communication with the customer is they go over A, and then they jump to G. And the B, C, D, E, F, which happened behind the scenes of Did we touch the head? Did we remove the intake? We watched the cameras. We talked to the tech, all this stuff. We didn't explain and take the customer through the journey of that. Too quick, everybody thinks they want to be efficient, and they're like, nope, we didn't touch you that at all. I'm sorry. You're on your own.
There's no feeling of compassion or care.
So you have to take the time before you just get ready to let go of that customer. You have to have done your due diligence. And I can promise you, I think you could put us against any industry out there because we're one of the only industries that sells used products. Okay. And not only doubles but triples how long a manufacturer of the product would stand behind it.
Yeah.
But then there is times that we've walked through all that. We have the documentation, we have the recordings, and the customer's just unreasonable.
Yeah.
Hey, it was 12 years old and 160,000 miles, and we've offered you solution A, B, and C. We don't have handouts here, and we're not just writing checks. We'll be more than fair. We understand the value of a customer, but at some point in time, we just got to say, hey, it's time for us to part ways.
And I think more times than not, in most situations, people don't understand this, but you have to slow down a little bit of like, hey, just because we're saying no doesn't mean that we don't care.
Sure.
It's obviously we're in a business. I had a customer the other day that, paperwork got messed up, and I was at the end of the office and try to let managers handle it themselves. And was listening, and it was escalating, and I could feel it just coming closer and closer. Yeah. And so I finally said, hey, stop. And I separated the situation and told the customer, I said, hey, just give me just a minute. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to dive into it, and I'll get you facts or everything. Then I grabbed because at that point, the customer, the salesperson, and the manager were all going around about chasing each other's tails. And so I had to slow it down and say, I needed to pull my manager and salesperson aside, get a hold of my manager and say, I want you to go do this. Sure. So walk through the whole situation there. But it ended up at the very end of it, had to look at an outlook that I didn't want to do. But once I stepped back and looked at it, it made more sense, more business sense, everything else going down the road. The manager then could see that because the manager was hard no.
Sure.
I'm tearing up paperwork, so good luck to you. You figure out your own financing deal, which is following policy, is going through. The customer was getting mad at him, so there was emotion getting involved. So once we stepped away and stepped back, everybody had learned something from it, from the end, from the beginning, obviously going through there. But a lot of times people just think when you just say no, hey, I'm in a business, or you just need to do it because you said that, or an accident happened. No, you don't have to do that. But there's ways to handle it and give solutions that make sense.
I think at the end of the day, too, no matter what industry you're in, if you put yourself in the customer's shoes, they have to be able to answer the question, did they put the effort to try to find a solution? Do I feel like that they put the energy and they tried to help, or then they just, boom, this is policy, this is no? And I think that's what we hear amongst all three of us is walking the customer through that, isolating it, coming up with a solution. It might not be the exact solution the customer wanted, but the effort's there. We walked them through. Hey, we looked at the cameras. We followed your vehicle when it came in to do the oil change. There's nothing that ever got close to the tail light. Would you like to look at that video with me? So again, we take the emotions out and the finger pointing out.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes the customer just, they don't want to have it. Either they're having a bad day and they're taking it out on you or whatever, and you've looked at all the solutions, and then it's okay.
It is, and you have to, we were talking to a business the other day that in today's world, everyone thinks they're right. Yeah, right? Everyone thinks they're right. Everyone thinks their idea is the best. And in today's world, everything is so vocal via the internet.
Sure.
There's keyboard warriors galore. And so one of the tricky things is your business to promote is your Google page, right? And Google controls so much of that, and they do it as fair as possible. But people, and we ask for positive reviews. We don't ask for negative reviews. We ask if a customer had a negative experience to come to us and allow us to make it a positive experience.
Sure.
Right? Because somehow we dropped the ball or this, that, and the other. But oftentimes it will go backwards. The cart before the horse is we'll just get hammered with a 1-star review. And that's the first thing we do is we say, hey, let's get all the data.
Yep.
right, on our side.
Yep.
Let's work on, like, hey, what's going on? What happened? And so, a friend of ours, his Google just got hammered with, and it wasn't even real. Somebody was against him, just, maybe a competitor, and just got hammered with all these 1-star reviews with no reason, this, that, and the other. And more often than not, if a customer didn't get their way, they think, if I just no different than a kid that has not properly been, in my eyes, disciplined, if they throw a tantrum, they'll get what they want. I mean, no one wants to see a kid throwing a tantrum on the floor of the grocery store. I'm not going to leave the store with them, but I'm going to go to another aisle. Sure. And they'll quickly, as they see that I've left that aisle, think, oh, shoot, I'm just laying on the floor feeling like an idiot. Right? I should probably get up and go find my parents.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving them there. I'm just going to the other aisle and I'm going to watch through the cabinet. Like, get up, you fool.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they quickly realized to throw a tantrum was no good. Like, if an angry customer comes in and he can't have a level head, we try to calm the situation, say, let's look at the facts, let's watch the video together.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. But if they just hammer with your review and they won't let you do this and this and this, you don't have to just throw the kitchen sink out. You don't have to give them a new motor. You don't have to give them their money back if you've done everything properly correct.
Sure.
And if you've walked through the entire process showing them they care, the customer is not always right. And that's tough because, like, well, no, I want a good Google store. I don't want all these bad reviews. It's like the good will always outweigh the bad.
It will.
Always will. But that's tough in that situation.
It
like,
is.
Oh, crap.
It
like,
is.
should we have to pay that customer sales tax? Like, no.
Yeah.
But, the
They'll
squeaky
ask.
wheel will ask constantly.
They will ask constantly.
Yeah, that was big, going back through.
So is the customer always right? Episode 10, make sure if you want some more depth in that, you might not. We got this one over here and that one. So just making sure if the customer's always right, that you vet that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure, is that customer, have they been heard? Have you fully walked through the process and all the things?
Absolutely.
Makes sense there.
Well, diving into their frequently asked question, Matt, you're kind of in the dark, but it's okay. I can still hear you there. But, hey, this is flipping it a little bit, and I'll go to both of y'all, but frequently asked question you'd like to ask another dealer, and we do a pretty good job of talking to them, but if it was just open something you would like to ask them, what would that be?
I like when I'm talking to another dealer that we start talking about sources of revenue.
Yes.
And I like to talk to them. What have you discovered there are other built-in sources of revenue within your business? And the more sources of revenue you have coming in will help protect your business through downturns in the economy, shortage in supply, so on and so forth.
Yep.
So that's one of those things we like to talk about. Like, Matt, what are you talking about? Going and buying other businesses? Not necessarily, but what work could you self-perform that you're writing checks for right now?
Yep.
So I love talking to them about that.
Yeah, and that's not always a cash grab,
Sure.
You're not just saying, hey, I need more. It's creating sustainability.
Yeah.
It's stuff that you already know. You're detailing cars. Why can't you detail your own cars?
Yep.
You're fixing other makes and models. Why can't you fix other makes and models? So that's really good. I love that.
No different than we had a friend, I'll just say on one of them that's at another dealer. He's up in Missouri, and he had a great idea of, he got a grant for solar panels and then just self-performed getting all the electricity for his dealerships. So he was able to leverage off this and leverage off that. He was paying the electrical bill every month anyways.
Yeah.
So I just love hearing about creative ideas like that.
Yeah.
That's too big. Shelby, what about you?
So when it flips to asking leaders, like what's a question that I like to ask leaders? One of the things that I will ask from a leader all the way down just directly to an employee, and this one is kind of hitching the gut sometimes. Are you or is your team doing the most productive thing right now that helps their job?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right? And that's just it's not like, hey, dude, what the heck are you doing? You're goofing off. But sometimes it'll be a question like, hey, man, I completely understand. Hey, real quick question. Are you doing the most productive thing right now that you could be doing to help you reach your goal?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, oh, crap. No, I'm not.
No.
Like, right? And that's very rarely that a person can easily say, yep. Sometimes they'll hit you with a soft serve. Yeah, absolutely, I'm killing it. It's like, oh.
Really dive into that.
Peel another layer. Tell me some more about that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just to pick on somebody. It's just to help them be a better version of what they're currently doing. So that
Right.
question, are you doing the most productive thing currently that you could possibly do?
That's good.
It's a nice way to stand people up and be able to really hold them accountable there. Hey, but as always, it was fun recapping all of, the top episodes that y'all had reached out to us and said, hey, loved hearing about this, would like to dive into it. We'll continue to do that. So if you have any questions, have any concerns about previous episodes that you'd like us to go back over, please put it online. Let us know. Always check us out, lewissuperstore.com, but then always hit that like and subscribe and see us on Crossroad Conversation Podcast.com.
See you soon.